Hey Shackers, we're back with another episode of This Week in Switch 2. So, was last episode not this week? Is this week? What does this mean for what weeks are?
This is also this week in Switch 2.
Yeah,
This
we're
is
continuing
By
this
the
week.
way, this week in Switch 2. Addendum this week in Switch 2. I don't know.
This week in Switch 2.11 for work groups?
Part 2.
No?
For work group.
Remember that?
Episode 13B, or is this episode 14?
We're on episode... Last episode, not last week. Last episode was episode 11. Is this episode 12? Is this episode 11.5?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Do we divide one by... Because we recorded that 2 days ago. So do we take 2 over 7 and then use that that decimal?
Oh, God.
Is it 11? Is it 11 and 2/7? I'm very confused. Anyway, I'm Asif Khan. I'm still the host of this show. I don't know what episode it is. I'm CEO of Shacknews, editor-in-chief, also EIEIO, which, I don't know if you guys noticed, this whole AI bubble's exploding this week in the wrong way. It's going down now.
Really?
But Extreme Intelligence is doing just fine. So, as the extremely intelligent Extreme Intelligence Officer, I'm happy that our valuation has not changed at all this week. Because we're not publicly traded. In fact, no one really owns shares of this company anymore except for me. And maybe some other people. But yeah, I'm once again joined here with our 2 co-hosts here, David Craddock, our long reads editor.
Hello.
And Donovan Erskine, our news editor, rocking a Nintendo New York shirt today. And You were in New York. We can now talk about this. You were in New York playing a Nintendo game yesterday. You played Kirby Air Riders.
Yes, literally maybe less than an hour after the Sakurai hosted Direct ended, I was playing Kirby Air Riders with a couple other press at an event in New York City. Yeah, I got to play about an hour, I think it was like an hour 15 of it. They walked us through some of the tutorials. We got to play a hand-selected bit of the lessons, which Sakurai talked about in the Direct, which just they teach you how to play the game and all of its mechanics. And then I also got to play a little bit of the races. We did a couple standard races. Then we did City Trial, which was the majority actually of our preview.
So, lessons are just a fancy term for tutorial, right?
Correct. Yeah, they go through and teach you the various aspects of the game, which I think is interesting because I only got to play maybe 5 of the lessons, and there were maybe 30 of them. And Kirby Air Ride, the original one, was a super simple game because you played as you're just Kirby, just different color Kirbys, unless you unlocked the Meta Knight or DDD, which are really just skins for Kirby.
Yeah.
It was infamously one button to control it. It was just the B button at the bottom of the GameCube controller there. And then Sakurai even says in the Direct for this one, he's like, unfortunately, we've added a second button to control the game.
Yeah. I have a take here, Donovan. I'm curious if I'm right.
Okay.
Kirby Air Riders is a fighting game parading around as a racing game. Am I wrong?
Dude, I'm not the first person to make this connection. This game is so, I'm using a very Gen Z term here, so Super Smash Bros. Coded.
Yes.
The UI, the effects, the menus.
The victory screen.
I
was waiting for him to go, Kirby!
Yeah, well, there's a voice. I don't know if it's the same actor, if it's not. It sounds like him. When you do the trials and stuff, and he's like, start! It sounds like the Smash Bros. Guy. Like you said, the victory screen, the weird, blocky UI design of the menus. I was like, this feels like a Smash Bros. Game. And then people even pointed it out during the Direct when they kept announcing all the characters, because that's a big point of Riders, is now there's a whole full roster of characters you can play as, doing the Bandana Waddle Dee is here thing, which was the signature of Smash. You'd always be like, this character is here.
Also the interstitials, the slides where he was like, how did we get here? All those white, the black text on the white background screens, they even looked like Smash font. Everything about this, and it's the same teams. It's Sora and it's Bandai Namco. And those 2 teams have made the last 3 Smash games, Ultimate on Switch, Smash for Wii U and Smash for 3DS. He pointed that out too. So it is extremely Smash coded. But even like the special move that Kirby has is his ultimate in Ultimate. Like it's I'm like, is this or because like I saw someone post this on social this week or yesterday. They're like, we have gotten 2 games this year where Mario Kart World is a platformer parading around as a racing game, and now Kirby Air Riders is a fighting game parading around as a racing game. And I, as the racing game stan here on our staff, the one who's the F-Zero evangelist on this show and any other podcast I've ever been on, say this to you, Nintendo. Make a goddamn F-Zero game. For the love of God, what are you doing? Like, imagine what an F-Zero game would look like in this universe. These games are great. They run extremely well. They have online play. They have multiplayer play. And they clearly, Nintendo is not upset about launching 2 racing games within what? 4 months of each other? 5 months? 6 months of each other? It's time.
Yeah, it'll be almost 6 months.
It's time. It might not be this year. It might not be next year. But before the end of the Switch 2, release an F-Zero game. For the love of God. And I mean a new one. Sorry.
Before I played it, that and you weren't the only person to kind of share that sentiment of like they're really gonna do like 2 racing games in the same year. It feels like you're kind of like cannibalizing your own market there. Playing Kirby Air Riders though, I get it because it's so different from Mario Kart World, and I think that's why Sakurai felt fine to make the joke himself during the direct, where he's like, "Oh, I guess it is kind of like Mario Kart World," because it really isn't. Other than the fact that you control vehicles and you can race, like racing feels like the default standard quick pickup way to play that game, but it feels like the real meat and potatoes is in City Trial, which was like the fan favorite thing in the original Kirby Air Ride, and in this game, they have just like kind of turned everything up by multiple notches. Because City Trial is actually explained. It's a multiplayer mode where you're essentially in Kirby Air Rider specifically, you're on a floating island called Skya, and it's like got all these biomes. There's like a city, there's like a field of grass, and there's like a rocky tunnel. There's a volcano, and over the course of 5 minutes, you everybody starts off on like the base star. I believe it's just called the Star Wagon, like the basic vehicle or machine as they call them in this game, and you have to collect these power ups to like build your machine. So you'll get like a little wing glider that you pick up, and it'll make your wagon glide faster.
Are those
and for a longer
blocks that
time.
you were crashing into?
They were inside of the blocks.
Oh yeah, but that's how you got the pieces, is by crashing into those blue blocks. I saw some of your gameplay where you were doing that.
Yeah, some of them are in the blocks, and you go up to them and you like hit the left stick like left and right, and your character will do like a little spinning attack, and you'll break those open. Some of them are just like sitting out. They're like these 2D kind of icons. You grab like a heart, it'll increase your HP, and if you press the plus button on the Joy-Con or your Pro Controller, you can see what your current build is as you like pretty much tune the stats of your machine in real time. And the cool thing is that if somebody else's HP is low, because maybe you hit them a bunch or they're just using a vehicle that has low HP, you can kick them off of their vehicle and just jump onto it. Because then the machines themselves have their own independent stats, where like the paper glider, right, is super lightweight, it's got low HP, but if you get airborne with it, you can just go for so long on that thing and it just zooms right through the air. But then there's this big blocky like machine like wagon that's got a lot of HP and it's very strong. It's hard to destroy. But if you drive it off a cliff, you just fall like a rock back down to the ground. So
but there's something about the relationship between the riders and the machines where like heavier riders, when you get on a machine, it changes the actual visual size of it, but also affects the statistics. So like this is actually probably more intricate than a Mario Kart game when it comes to that combination of things. Who you are and what you're riding affects the gameplay in this. I want to point out a couple things I noticed, Diamond. You don't have to push a button to accelerate in this game, so that's like very different than Mario Kart. I know they have accessibility options for that in Kart and some other games, but like by default, you're just going in this. And then the way that they handle turning is, you can hold down that button, but you're charging a boost while you're drift turning, and then you let go at the end of the turn to, like, you get this boost coming out of turns. So the gameplay, in my opinion, is, if you ignoring what you're talking about with this open world-ish kind of thing in Skya, the gameplay is very different than the power slide mechanic, the grind mechanic, the things that we know in Mario Kart World now. It's a different take on a lot of that locomotion. I thought it was super noticeable. The other thing, you know what other game calls the vehicles machines?
Let me guess. Is it F-Zero?
It is! It is F-Zero! Congratulations! I'm just saying, Nintendo. I'm just saying, yes, I have an agenda this episode. It's time.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not just this, though, David. I want a new Diddy Kong racing game. I want a new 1080 snowboarding game. I want a new wave race. This is the generation to bring, flex that you guys are good at making racing games. Flex that you guys are good at this. Because, like, the thing that I saw where I was like, holy crap, this game, like, it's not the highest visual fidelity on Earth, Donovan, but the water, I was like, holy crap, this looks insane. Like,
dude, did you see the clip where I'm racing on the level where at the beginning of the race is you're racing on the ground through parted water?
Yes, you're like Moses
on the sand. Yeah, yeah.
You're literally like
water...
the water has parted, David. There's these two huge columns of water on either side, and it's gorgeous. It's like stylized to all hell.
And it's not like a hard barrier. Like if you drive into the water, you'll go into it. You'll slow down, and it's like being in rough terrain. But you could like splash in and out of the water. Is super cool. Very neat visual design. And you're right. Also, the locomotion in this game is wild because you don't have to hold like a button to go forward. You don't even push the left stick forward. Your job is entirely to turn and to manage your boost. And I liken it to almost like driving like stick shift, where there's just so many extra steps and actions you need to take during the race, where it's like you almost like have to be so engaged at all times or you're just going to be in last place. Even playing the CPU at a low level, like it's not enough to just drive forward and avoid obstacles. Like you need to constantly be doing your boost, which boost is interesting because obviously it propels you forward, but when you do it, you slow down. So it creates this almost like slingshot mechanic where like you might be neck and neck with somebody and you go to do your boost and for they zoom past you, but then you kind of catapult ahead of them and it's this cool like yo-yo effect as people are just like blasting through and the screen will like shake when you let your boost go, your controller will vibrate. It's this very like energetic high octane, as me and Greg love to say on Pop Goes the Culture, feeling.
Greg loves to use the term high, or the phrase high octane thrill ride. But no, just the pace of the game. The thing I noticed instantly, the 3, 2, 1 countdown's like 3, 2, 1, go. It's like not. It's not like F-Zero. It's not like Kart. Well, like Kart's like 3, 2, 1. No, this is like 3, 2, 1, go. It's like go. This game is like
just let your boost go. Just boom. Yeah.
This game is like spastic. That's the only way I can use to describe it. Like it just feels like. It wants you to feel a sense of urgency that I don't think other racing games get.
It's so chaotic that like while I was racing, I didn't even know what place I was in. Like I didn't even have time to like stop and look and like see where the other icons were, what number was. I was like spinning the stick because there's like enemies and stuff I'm trying to hit. Because when you hit them, not only do you stop yourself from slowing down, you speed up when you hit like an enemy or another player. Controlling my boost, turning the corners because it's not like a power slide. It's more so you're just like very quickly reorienting your
You're
vehicle.
not doing the like left, right on the turn. You're turning.
No.
It's more like a hairpin kind of turn, and then it's about that timing of coming out of the turn more than it is the turn itself.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was neat. Can we talk about Sad Sakurai at the beginning of this direct? Did you see it, David, where he's like, why is making a game so hard?
I did see that. I did.
Is he okay?
First words, oh dear. The first words in years on a Nintendo Direct.
Is he okay?
He's probably pretty tired considering he jumped from Smash Ultimate to this.
And he explained, like one of the first interstitials down was, how did we get here? And he explains how they came up to him while he was still working on Smash DLC, and they're like, hey, we want to do this, but we're not able to do this. And he's like, okay. And apparently, in his free time, he just whipped up a design doc for it and was like, here you go. So, like, yeah, I think a lot of people wanted this narrative, especially in the April 2nd Direct, right? That this is finally his, like, he gets to do what he wants moment. I don't think that's the case. I think he was tasked with this again. So, like, we're not seeing his, like, we get to see his creative energy come out in this, but it wasn't like he said, hey, should we, hey, I want to make a Kirby Air Riders. That's not what happened here. He was tasked with this by Shinya Takahashi and the former, I thought that was interesting, the former president of HAL Laboratories, not the current one. This game is not made by HAL. This is just a HAL IP, a Nintendo IP made by Sora Limited and Bandai Namco together. But I was just like, is he okay? Because, like, he sounded so sad. Oh, dear.
Yeah, to start off with "Oh dear," there's an all-time opening to a Nintendo Direct. You do see some of that enthusiasm come through there when he talks about Kirby.
The rest
when
of
Kirby
the Direct,
first,
like, after he talked about how we got here, the rest of the Direct, he was super excited to talk about things, and we got to see my favorite part of his presentations, him playing his game, right? And him understanding every mechanic, understanding every design element, and explaining it in depth, which is why his Directs, his presentations, are always so much different and better than most other Nintendo Directs. He has this reverence for Satoru Iwata, who he worked very closely with for years, that I think has turned into, like, he's the closest thing we have to Iwata at that company now. And he's not even a Nintendo employee. But, like, when it comes to the games being made and the reverence that he has for IP, I feel like he's the closest thing we have to Satoru Iwata in the entire games industry right now. And that shined during that Direct.
he has a moment when he's playing City Trial, and he just goes, "This game is wild." It's like, yeah, dude, it is. But it's cool. I mean, when we saw this was going to be 45 minutes long, instantly it was like, okay, he's going to, like, jump into this and just start playing it. It's what he used to do with Smash, right?
Yeah.
He'd teach you all about the character, and then he'd just straight up play a game against the CPU.
Yep.
And again, another Smash comparison, you can set the CPU difficulty on a level scale from 1 to 10 in Kirby Air Riders. And it's just like Smash, where you do the thing and you go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10. Even on level 5, it was tough. I had a race where I thought I did everything right, didn't even look up at the score, and it was like, you came in 5th place. And I was like, well, Jesus, okay. Yeah, it is extremely chaotic, but really fun. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It just feels so unlike any other arcade racer, which to me goes back to them feeling perfectly fine putting this out in the same year as Kart World, because I don't think they're,
you know, I was in Discord with TJ yesterday almost for like 9 hours because it was like we had the Smash event, and we can probably talk about some of the Jeff announcements too while we're here, but we were talking about how we played battle mode in Mario Kart World on stream, like maybe twice in the last few months. It's not that good. And it hasn't been good, in my opinion, David, since Mario Kart 64. Like,
yeah,
you'll remember,
it seemed to be one of the defining features back then. And since then, I think Mario Kart 8 didn't even originally have a battle.
It didn't ship with one.
Yeah.
And then when they did ship it, it was like, we're just going to put battle mode on the tracks. So they didn't even have battle mode arenas.
Right.
Which was, like, in my opinion, a huge step back from what we had in Mario Kart 64. And if you think back to the N64 era, GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, Star Fox 64, which had an excellent multiplayer mode that some people forget about. But, like, you know, they had these arena-based battle modes. And Kirby Air Riders and City Trial has, like, straight-up battle mode stadiums, right, Donovan? Where, like, you're, like, beating the crap out of each other in melee mode, or, like, it's more of a battle game than it is a racing game at times. And I think that's where it's going to shine, and that's where it's going to differentiate itself from Kart World, in that, like, Kart World still is a racer. When you're playing with your friends, it's versus race, it's knockout tour. You know, it's still a racing game with battle elements. Where this is like a battle game with racing elements, I think.
It is, and there's a thing that happens at the end of a city trial. I think they call them stadiums, but they're essentially
Yeah.
like mini games.
Yeah.
And it's like once everyone's done building their vehicles, their machines, or whatever you've finished with. If you don't even have a vehicle, they just give you the basic Star Wagon. Uh, and it's really interesting because it's almost like I'm sorry, it's the Boost Star. It's the different. I keep calling it the Star Wagon. It's the Boost Star, but it's almost like a psychological game because you're given four stadiums to vote between, and there'll be like a battle mode where you're in a circular ring and you just try to see who can knock out the most people by the end of the round. It's like a few minutes long. There's one that's just a standard race. It's like, hey, just do 2 laps real quick. Let's see who wins. Just go standard race. There's one it's one we saw Sakurai do where it's like flying targets,
Yes.
where you get like a runway and there's a wall of targets, 20 points, 50 points, 100 points. 100 points has like the opening and closing like grate over it, and you just see who gets the most points with 2 attempts at it. I did one called Falling Rings where you like descend through like a cavern and there are different rings you go through, 100 points, 200, 300 points. You see who gets the highest score. But there's this weird layer to it where you don't see what anybody else votes for.
Yeah.
And whatever you vote for is just what you do.
There's
It's
no
not, you're not
pizza
like,
party allegations or any. There's not going to be a pizza party judgment being made here if Greg accidentally picks Baby Park. Like, that's not happening in this game.
Yeah. It's not like a majority rule thing. But then there's another layer to it where if you're the only person who picks a certain minigame, you just win it by default.
Yeah.
You start off, you see an animation of your character looking around confused, and then it's like no contest.
It's
win.
like that
You
Homer
get all the
Simpson's
points
default.
for it. Yeah. But to add on to that, different minigames are suited to different builds. And when it's time to vote on like a stadium, the game will tell you, hey, we recommend you do battle mode because you've got like a tanky machine, right? Or you should do the like air targets one because you've got this like glider. So now you have to like assess what other people have and what you think other people will pick. Do you go for one that you think somebody's trying to steal for themselves? Do you take one where you think nobody else will be? Like it adds this fascinating dynamic to like the end game scenarios that I thought was really interesting.
Yeah. And I was talking to David about this. We're just texting after it because David's like, I didn't have a chance to watch it, but like, what the hell is this game? And I'm like, it's not like kart like at all. Like I think
because I didn't play the original Kirby Air Riders back in the day, so I was looking for some context. But this sounds really fun.
And like, I'll be honest with you, I was talking to TJ about Kirby Air Ride yesterday, like for GameCube, and I'm like, I honestly don't remember it very well because that era, David, we were in college, and like I was playing Rogue Squadron and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and Mario Sunshine and Wind Waker, more adult focused games because Kirby was like for kids back then, and I didn't really play a whole lot of Air Ride, but I like remember City Trial, and I remember it being way less big. Like it was a much smaller game in general. It took less time to make, and it was like kind of just like one mini game, but turned into a whole ass game. This is like 8 mini games. But I want to talk about what you mentioned earlier, Don, like the target games. I got some Monkey Ball 2 vibes from this, David, where I'm like, oh, we might have a new monkey target on our hands here. Like there are some things here where it's like online, competitive, but like this world is it's still cutesy and fun, kind of like the Super Monkey Ball universe. And yeah, like the one where you're falling, Donovan, like through the tiles, it gave me Pilot Wings vibes. But everything about this game is so damn fast. Like that 2-lap race that you were talking about. How long did that take you to do? Like 2 minutes?
Probably less, maybe like 90 seconds, yeah.
This is a game that values your time, and I think that's really nice. It's wild though. It does feel like this could have been like Smash Bros. Kart if they really wanted to do something crazy.
I've already seen people read into the idea that like maybe Kirby Air Riders wasn't the only game that they asked him to make with, Sora and Bandai together and all the like smashisms that this game has. It just feels like a precursor to a new Smash. It wouldn't surprise me if like 2-3 years from now we get a Nintendo Direct and you see Bandana Waddle Dee, and that's how they revealed Smash, whatever they call it on the Switch 2. There's just so much of that DNA here, and part of it is just, hey, that's just what it looks like when these guys make games together, because that's what they've been doing for a while. But is there something about it? There's something about it that feels like there's more than what we're seeing on the surface.
Because I put together that Kirby hype reel, on Monday when the news broke that we were getting this direct, because I'm a Kirby stan. I love Kirby. And I put a lot of the Smash clips in there from those trailers where Kirby is heavily featured. It's always felt to me like Kirby is the hero of the Smash Bros. Series. And, like, this is Kirby getting to be in the front of Kirby in a launch year, right? Like, this is very rare to have a Kirby game in a launch year like this. And sure. I'm reminded that, like, I was talking to Greg and TJ about it because, they were in Japan for TGS last year, so they got to see it firsthand. Kirby is extremely popular in Japan. Like, you'll go in, like, a 7-Eleven, and there's Kirby merch in there, David. Like, it's not Mario everywhere in Japan. Like, Kirby is a beloved character over there. And I think that Nintendo themselves really, really love Kirby. And, like, people were scratching their heads at this announcement, and you saw terrible takes on Twitter about how this was dumb and they should have done XYZ instead. But, like, as someone who knows Nintendo and understands Japan's love of Kirby, not surprised that this is what we're getting here. And I think it's going to do better than people realize. I think this will be a very successful Kirby game.
I think it will, but there is an adjacent subject we have to address here. And it's something I think we talked about in the last episode earlier this week, and Donovan and I were discussing it before you joined, Asif. Mm-hmm. And that is, I feel like if this game is in November, where does Metroid fit? Is this going to get delayed? It seems more and more likely that it could get bumped to like first quarter of 2026.
Then why is it at Gamescom?
I don't know. It could still be a December release. It could be October. But here's the thing. The 2017 was a banner year for Nintendo, maybe arguably the best launch year for any new console they've had. But they spaced things out.
Yeah.
And I feel like Air Riders might get short shrift if it comes out too close to Metroid, like within a month or so.
But, it's very different markets. Like, Metroid is a Western title in Nintendo's eyes. So, like, if we already get Pokemon out in October, I think there's room for both Kirby and Metroid in November. Maybe Metroid in early November, and Kirby Kirby's like right before Thanksgiving, I think. Which actually makes a lot of sense, because go buy Kirby Air Riders and play it with your family over the holiday, It's a perfect party game. So, like, I agree. It
just seems really compressed. Like their schedule. If all these games come out, what does their early 2026 look like?
When I'm staring at their calendar right now, David, the thing that I see, either Hyrule Warriors or Metroid has to get delayed. One or the other is getting delayed.
Yeah, Hyrule Warriors. I forgot about that. Yeah.
I think that's what
Hyrule Warriors is already getting delayed. That whole winter 2025, whatever thing. That's
their messaging.
Winter is December 20th through like February.
Exactly. Their messaging for Hyrule Warriors makes me think that that's the one that's going to slip to Q1 calendar 2026, right? Like, because that's still Q4 of fiscal 2026 for Nintendo. So they don't care. Yeah. It's still part of their fiscal year. It doesn't hurt their revenue expectations for the year, right? Although, if you don't have something for Christmas, that is going to hurt them a little. But Hyrule Warriors is, out of everything on that list, David, Hyrule Warriors is technically a third-party title, obviously first-party IP.
Yeah.
But I don't think everyone's going to be like, oh no, they delayed Hyrule Warriors, I am not buying a Switch. But, like, if Metroid gets delayed after this 8 years, or however many years we've been waiting for this damn game... That's a gut punch that will really hurt Nintendo fans, especially in the West. Like, if they were about to delay it, why on earth would it be at Gamescom right now? Why would they have demos at Gamescom? Although, I will say this, it seems to be the exact same demo I played on April 2nd.
Yeah,
and
I feel like
that's
they
not
can't.
encouraging.
If no, that's not encouraging. And I think as to why they might have it at Gamescom, I think it could be that they had it at earlier preview events, so they can't not have it because that would signal a delay if the
Yeah.
game suddenly disappears from later shows. But I also think, to your point, these are two different markets in that I think Kirby, I love Kirby too, but I think it's still a kid-focused IP,
Yeah,
like a family-focused,
for
and
sure.
Metroid is for older gamers. So
Yes.
that to your point also, I feel like if they get both out this year, they'd be catering to a wider audience.
Yeah, they're
The
not
older players
cannibalizing.
would get Metroid.
Yeah,
No, they're not. They're
they're,
they're totally not.
they're not cannibalizing each other. Where I think Hyrule Warriors does appeal to that same demo as Metroid. Like
Yeah.
obviously different genres, and Musu games are one thing and FPS are another thing. And you could argue if Metroid Prime is even an FPS, like it's a first-person adventure game, I think.
Yeah, that's what Miyamoto called the first one
Yeah,
back in the day.
and I think that's
Yeah.
correct. I do think
Yeah.
it's not Halo, right? But like that's a good thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, that is a very good thing.
The thing that would make me mad at Nintendo, to quote myself from 2016 when they delayed the original NX, is if they delay Metroid Prime 4 after showing it to me in April.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah.
make me angry. That would make a lot of people angry. But it is strange that like August has suddenly turned into like Kirby month at Nintendo, and none of us saw this coming.
No.
Like it's kind of bizarre to see this. But yeah, like you can't help but think about Metroid right now.
The interesting thing about Nintendo, though, is that this year specifically, it feels like they've just been playing everything so fast and loose that they could very well next Tuesday be like, hey, the Metroid Prime 4 Direct is tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then on Wednesday, give us a 20-minute Direct and say, hey, it comes out December 10th, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, there it is. It feels like that announcement's like around the corner, but it also feels like it's been around the corner for a few months now.
It goes back to their core mission of surprising and delighting their customers, right? So it's like, I don't know if this is the year, though. Like, I don't know if this is the year to keep surprising us, Nintendo. Like, maybe just tell us when Metroid's coming out. Like, maybe that's...
Yeah, I think they should have a Direct to just drop the release date at the front. Like, let's answer the big question first, boom, release date, and then go into detail on the game.
So, I'm pounding the drum for Mario, right? I think we're getting a Mario game this year that hasn't been announced. I'm not saying it's the 3D Mario. I don't think that. But I think we're getting a Mario game that is not Kart this year.
To celebrate the anniversary, right?
To celebrate the 40th anniversary. And Metroid is not as big of an IP as Mario. So why not attach this release date announcement to that Direct where you celebrate Mario's 40th? Because then you lead with that, right? You lead with a Metroid trailer and you announce its release date. And then you bring Miyamoto out and he's like, here's the trailer for the Mario movie. And then you bring out, whoever else you want to trot out, whatever games you want to trot out. Maybe you just show a picture of Isabelle so people are happy. And then you tell us about the Mario games. You know what I mean? Like, take advantage of the love of Mario to promote your smaller, not small, but smaller IP that is Metroid.
Yeah.
I think that might be what we see here, is that it's going to get that, it's going to show up in like a first-party focused Direct sometime in September, and that would give it plenty of time for that preview, review, marketing cycle to release in a November or an early December kind of scenario. Because this is not going to get a bundle. This is not going to be a bundle with Switch 2, right? They're going to... And this is also selling on Switch 1. So it's like... You got to have something for Switch 1 for Christmas from first-party Nintendo, right? Like, yes, Pokemon's coming. That's a huge deal. But, like, Pokemon and Metroid are not hitting the same demo either. So it's like, that's that thing, David, where you're nailing it about how they hit every demo in 2017 perfectly. It was like, here's Zelda, here's Kart 8 Deluxe, here's Splatoon, here's 1-2 Switch and ARMS, and then here's Mario Odyssey, right? Like, it was a perfect bookended year between Zelda and Mario, and right now it's like the bookends look like Kart and Metroid. Like it should be
Yeah.
Metroid.
Yeah.
So God, I hope it doesn't get delayed. But
I feel like, their big concern with Metroid has always been that it doesn't sell as much as they would like.
yeah,
And I feel like if you want it to start off strong out of the gate, you release it during a holiday season when people are going to go crazy for games anyway.
yeah.
That's the strongest possible start for that game.
And you release it at a time probably 2 months after the Pokemon release, right? Or a month after. Like
Yeah.
you have to
Yeah.
They have to give Pokemon a wide berth, right? Like this is Pokemon Legends ZA is gonna sell. It's gonna sell on Switch 1 and it's gonna sell on Switch 2, and that bundle is going to sell for Christmas and holiday. So like
Right.
they gotta give Pokemon a wide berth here. And that's why I'm like thinking November or December for Metroid Prime 4. And then let Hyrule Warriors slip to Q1 on the calendar. Like that, no one is going to be like up in arms over that.
No.
There will be those those think pieces from the YouTubers who don't actually play Nintendo games. There'll be a lot of those if
Yeah.
Metroid Prime 4 gets delayed. And Nintendo seems to be very aware of how the not just like how their fans are receiving the Switch 2, but how like the broader games discourse is. Not that they care, but they're paying attention at the very least. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Exciting times though, because like I can't think of there's never been a Kirby game that was given 45 minutes on a Nintendo YouTube channel. Ever.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Like
That's
this
a big
is
deal.
we are in a different era for Kirby. And I really point to Kirby in the Forgotten Land. Like, I think that is a wonderful video game. It's one of my favorite Switch games. Like, it's great. And like I think that game introduced a whole new generation to Kirby. And it's like we're going to lean into that. And that's awesome. But my God, Nintendo. You have a system that people like racing games on. Give us more. While we're at it, third parties. Rock and Roll Racing, bring that back. Off-Road, bring that back. RC Pro-Am, bring that back. How have we never got RC Pro-Am on Switch Online?
I know. This
What
could be
the
the
fuck?
racing renaissance.
You know
on
what I mean?
Switch
Like,
2.
I don't know if Donovan even knows what RC Pro-Am is. Rare made it. Rare made a racing game on the NES, Donovan, and it's
I know those guys.
one of the best racing games on that system. While we're at it, first party, Excite Bike, bring that in. Like,
Oh yeah.
there are so many. Extreme G. This is what's happening here. I'm no longer just caping for F-Zero because we got F-Zero 99 and I'm very happy with F-Zero 99. But man, I want people who love Diddy Kong Racing to have a new one of those. Like, think about like what you can do with this system. Like,
Yeah.
it's time, Nintendo. You clearly aren't afraid about cannibalizing Mario Kart sales. You're not going to. Like, but
No.
there's these other... And I'm not saying all these need to come out this year. I'm saying, like, this generation can be like the N64, where I think the N64 is goated for its racing game lineup. It has an amazing lineup of racing games. And, like, not just first party. Like, San Francisco Rush or whatever. Like, there were some really cool...
Do you remember Lego Racer?
Yeah.
That was a fun game. That was a great. Game.
Beetle Adventure Racing. Like, there are some really weird N64 titles that were fun. Like,
Yeah.
bring that Nintendo back. And this Kirby Air Riders really makes me feel like, oh, maybe that Nintendo is back. Because he even said it in the direct. Sakurai's like, I asked them, like, you sure you want to do this? Like, it sounds so funny. Like, he buried the game in the first 10 minutes of that direct. He was like, it's like, I didn't really want to do this. I was working on DLC. You can tell. Like, he didn't want to say it. You can tell he was working on the Steve DLC. Right, Donovan? Like, that's what he was talking about, right?
Maybe. I have to see what the timing is, because they did so many fucking DLC characters for Smash.
And yeah, who knows, like, who knows what cadence he was working on them versus when they were released,
Yeah.
right? Because
I mean,
like
the whole
Sora came
timeline
out.
is kind of shrouded in mystery, because even when they announced Kirby Air Riders, remember Sakurai was like, hey, all these YouTube videos for like the last year and a half have been like pre-recorded because I was just secretly working on this game the whole
Yeah.
time. So
He recorded
yeah.
all of Sakurai on making games in like a month or two, and then
Yeah.
parsed them out over months or over years. Sorry, years. I mean, if you look at him in this video, he looks materially older than he did in those. And obviously, the pandemic happened between now and then, like all sorts of stuff. But it's exciting to see him talking about games and playing games. And yeah, this is for the Kirby fans out there. They're going crazy today. Like, people are super stoked. I haven't seen really done like outside. Yeah, I was just looking at like other people's impressions and even people who are at Gamescom right now. I haven't seen anyone say a bad thing about Kirby Air Riders. Like, there was very low expectations for this.
It's a really fun, offbeat racing, sort of honestly in a lot of ways like a party game.
Yes.
And I mentioned it to David before we started recording that like, I mean, Kirby's a mainstream IP, but like Kirby Air Ride wasn't like the best-selling game on the GameCube.
No.
But it is a game that now holds a lot of nostalgia for people who grew up with the GameCube, my generation, When I told my friends they were making a new one, they're like, wow, really? Like, I remember Kirby Air Ride. The game is 22 years old. It never got a sequel. All those people are young adults now. So I think there's going to be like a decent level of hype going into this one.
And there's this thing happening with Nintendo right now where like this older generation, Dom, and me, my age group, David's age group, we don't have kids. But a lot of our friends have kids, our siblings have kids, or whatever, David and I are funkles, right? This is the kind of game that you show up at your niece's house with, David, and they're like, oh my God. Like, they're going to play that. They're going to play this game. They're not even going to think twice. They're going to play this game. And I think that, like, there's this thing happening with Nintendo fandom right now where people who grew up Nintendo kids may have grown apart from Nintendo in their college years, and they're coming back now, either through the Switch, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Odyssey, maybe it's a Xenoblade game, like whatever. There's these games for core gamers that are on Nintendo devices again, and the data shows very few people are growing out of being video gamers. They're just still playing games when they get older, but a lot of them have kids now, and we're starting to see them introduce the games that they love and the franchise that they love to their kids. Our developer, Patrick, he has a young son who's now gotten to the point where, 3 years ago, he was playing co-op with his dad in Odyssey. But now he's playing Link's Awakening on the Switch, that remaster. He's playing it by himself. Just doing it on his own now. So, like, and that's all because his dad loved Zelda his whole life. And I think, like,
that's the thing, right? We're seeing this new generation latch onto their own properties. Like, some of them will discover Mario first, but my nieces love Splatoon. Like, that's their Mario, right?
Yep.
And it's just these next generations of Nintendo IPs are going to find an audience, especially now with the Switch 2 available, with it selling well, and with all these games coming out.
And then, like, even just like from a third-party standpoint, the timelessness of Tetris, right? Like, seeing Tetris Effect come out, seeing Tetris 99 come out, and like a whole new generation being introduced to Tetris, because that game is timeless. It's a perfect video game, right? Like, the concept of Tetris is perfect. And like the Mario formula, like what we saw with Mario Wonder a few years ago, and how a whole new generation of kids was like, this is awesome. Like, I didn't know about these. And then they're like, oh, they have these old ones on Switch Online that I can play. Like, they're discovering the 8-bit Mario for the first time. They're discovering Mario World. Oh, and by the way, Nintendo's making movies now, and kids who can't even hold the controller are seeing Mario and Donkey Kong on the big screen. And they're talking about it with their friends at school now. So, like, I think that Nintendo, they saw a threat to they saw like an existential threat that if their fans aged out, that they were doomed. And I think they made a lot of efforts on that front, to appeal to kids. And this game, Kirby Air Riders, appeals to kids. Like, it just does. It is vibrant and cute and fun looking and fast. It keeps your attention, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's key. We would be remiss if we don't mention Starman. Starman got a shout out in this from Sakurai. Sakurai said, "I want to stop here to point out Starman. Like, yes, I just kind of shadow announced that Starman is in the game, but also Starman is very cute." Like, I just thought that was hilarious. We tweeted it out, and it's got like, I don't know, some over 140,000 views on that video in a day. So like, to your point, Donovan, a lot of people your age to my age remember Air Ride, and this is like the nostalgia trip that like Nintendo is always going for, right? But at the same time, David, you're right. Splatoon is a series that appeals to young kids in America and in Japan. It's insanely popular among a certain age group. So like, and I love that game, and like I had it for Wii U, and like I introduced my nephews to it when they were really young because it's a shooter that's not violent. You're not killing.
Yeah, we're talking a demographic again, right? Like older players have their COD, their Battlefield, and kids have Splatoon. There are even analogs to weapons, like the giant paintbrush that you flick. That's the shotgun, right?
Yeah.
Like with the spread and everything.
There's a sniper.
They're hitting. Yeah, there's a sniper. Yeah,
There's
they're just hitting all the demographics.
It's like the dual needlers, you know, the deadly needler in Halo 2. But yeah, like I think Nintendo, they do a really good job of that, of like thinking, how can we take this kind of game but make it appeal to that blue ocean, right? And you can't look at a Kirby game and not see Iwata, David. Like there is so much Iwata in this launch year of Switch 2. Game chat is an Iwata ass idea. That is his idea of bringing people together, right? Through gaming. Connecting people through gaming and coming together, making games that a whole family can play together, right? I think that I think that the Switch 1 launched in a scenario where Nintendo had their backs up against the wall and there were scope limitations and there were financial limitations. They're not in that scenario anymore. So they're kind of going all out. And yeah, it's not the same as 2017. That's a magical year. When you get a Zelda and a Mario in the same year, and they're both arguably 10 out of 10s, unless you're Shacknews in 2017. But like, you know, but like, there's a lot of like, I look at it and I'm like, this feels like the DS. This feels like the DS launch, where we launched with a Mario Kart. It was focused on connecting people, the internet, those Wi-Fi spots at McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like there were these efforts to connect people with the DS. And obviously the DS was that GDC talk where Iwata brought it out and he did that Mario Kart demo in person. And that was the first time that we saw the ability to share a game, if only one person had it. That the ad hoc network sharing that they released, that was a DS thing. And Nintendo knows that the DS, you know, the Switch will eventually surpass the DS in lifetime sales. But I think in the company, there is a reverence for the success of the DS. And I think they're trying to bring DS DNA to the Switch 2. And this Air Riders game feels like an extension of that. It's not that there was an Air Ride for DS, because obviously Donovan, like 22 years in between entries in the series. But like this bringing people together, allowing for a whole family to come together, that these are safe places for families to play games together, and offering a variety of options. These are all very much ingrained in Nintendo's DNA, and as someone who's been a fan for a long time, it reminds me of the mission that Iwata laid out for them years ago, when he spoke about the Blue Ocean before the Wii launched. And then, you know, the DS came after the, you know, kind of around the same time as the Wii. But yeah, exciting times. Very exciting times.
At the risk of sounding like a hypocrite, I also want to say that I think that the roster for Kirby Air Riders is pretty damn cool and exciting.
No,
Okay,
no
so
bumblebees. No bumblebees.
no,
No
no,
skibbies, no sidestepper crabs in this one. But it's fun because I like that it's a lot of characters who have like joined the Kirby family over the years. I think it's cool that we've got like Starman and Knuckle Joe and like Chef Kawasaki and whatnot.
yeah,
All these characters who like a lot of them have like vehicles that kind of correspond to their personalities and stuff. Meta Knight was in the OG, but now we've got like the Shadow Star Glider and whatnot. It's cool, and they all there's a continuity in their designs because they all come from the same IP. That it's fun. It's like Kirby's version of Everybody's Here, where it's
yeah.
like you can play as Gooey in this
And
one.
they, at the very end of the direct, when they announced the release date, they also teased what a lot of fans are thinking is Dark Matter is going to be like one of the big
what is
bads
up
from the
with that?
series. So I was like, I think you said that there's more confirmed characters in Kirby Air Riders than there is in T2XKO right now.
Yeah, TJ sent that tweet. Somebody said that. I'm like, geez, man, they cannot get you break with that game. But it's true. It's true. I think they said 16 characters. Maybe?
Yeah, but that's
Kirby Air
insane
Ride?
because like you think about how many League of Legends characters there are, Donovan.
It's like 130.
Like
unironically.
it's like Pokemon Pokedex like. So it's not like I'm like hold your horses, people who are shitting on 2XKO's character list. Like they got time, right? Like they can overwatch this scenario where they just keep dropping stuff for years.
I feel like Kirby needs a lot of characters though, because in Donovan's write-up, which is on the site now, Donovan, you mentioned that like you have these configurations of characters and machines. So the more variety you have in both, the more possibilities there are, right?
Yeah, it's like a mix and match sort of thing, and I know people have been like memeing the screenshot from the direct where they put up the picture of Kirby riding the Boost Star, and they're like, "This is the character, that's the machine. These are two different things." Um, yeah, because there are some that are like obviously tailored towards certain characters, but you can still mix and match them. You can put Kirby on like the tank vehicle that like rolls around on tracks and can
Mm.
run people over and
But
stuff.
Donovan, like
But
you've played Smash with me. I
I
don't
have, yeah.
I don't care that Kirby sucks in that meta. Like, I'm gonna play Kirby. Am I gonna be penalized like I am in Kart for being a cow main? Like, are there times where I'm gonna be hurt because I'm not picking, Chef Kawasaki or something? Or can I kick your ass as Kirby in every mode?
I think you will run into problems if you want to win. If you're legitimately trying to be the best and you just play as your favorite character and favorite vehicle every time, you will struggle. Unless you're just a god and you're just that much better than the people you're playing against.
Okay, I'll be fine.
Especially in City Trial, where it's like the game straight up tells you, "Hey,
Yeah.
your build is better for this mode. You should pick this one."
I'm just
yeah,
gonna
you are
throw it
run into
out
some
there.
issues.
I don't really care about being the best at Kirby Air Riders. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm not gonna lose sleep at night if I'm not the
Yeah.
best at Kirby Air Riders. I'm just there to have fun. You know what I mean?
Well, to Donovan's point, there will be a meta for this game.
I know. Oh, I know there will.
Certainly.
And like the
Certainly.
problem is, I say this now, but then the minute we go on stream and Donovan beats me at anything, yeah, you'll hear
And
the
they're not-
opposite.
This isn't even like some like background stats people are gonna data mine and find the best character. On the selection
It's
screen,
right
there's
there.
a column where it's like speed, mobility, weight. Like they're giving you everything. Like you're meant to like engineer this and like figure out like, oh, if I put this character on this vehicle and I take this route, that's my like best option to win a race or to defeat people in a city trial.
Even like some of the character select screens like look straight out of a fighting game. Like some of the
man.
stuff they're doing, you're like, this is very fighting game like. Which I'm here for. Like that's like because Dave and I were talking about like what's gonna make this different than Kart, and I'm like, I think it's that like that is like a battle focus to this, and there's this competitive focus to this, and there's this optionality to the vehicles that there's a ton of vehicles in Kart, and obviously they have their different attributes. But to your point, Donovan, it's not as in your face about that in the character select screen. It is there, you can find it, but it's not as obvious. It's not like a point of emphasis like it is in this game, which I think is going to be cool. Which once again resembles F-Zero, because when you select a vehicle in F-Zero, it tells you all those stats too. Sorry. Yes, I have an agenda. But like, Doug Bowser, are you listening? Of course you are. You're clear. Like, we know for a fact, Don, and I'm not going to get into it, but we know for a fact that Doug Bowser's watching our YouTube channel. We know. So hi, Doug. Call me. I'm going to come for your job. But yeah, like, I'm here, man. I think we're in for like a Nintendo racing game renaissance. I think this is the beginning of that. Like, they realize what I've been saying, that there's room for more than one racing game experience on this system. And it's like, yeah, there's the people who are only going to play kart. But man, are there people who would play all these other racing games. And just that scene, that like, the 3-2-1 and you racing with the water parted, Don, when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is my shit. I was like, oh no. Like, I love this game so much. I haven't even touched it. And I'm not saying I don't feel that way about Kart World. I just think they're just different. They're just very different games. And, like, David, we leave out Donkey Kong because I know you're not a huge fan of Donkey Kong Bonanza. But, like, right. I am loving that game. I know Donovan loved that game. But the more I've played through it, Donovan, I completely agree with your 9 out of 10 score. That is not a 10 out of 10 game. I'm sorry. It's not.
No, it's a little short of that, yeah. It's an awesome game, though, but it doesn't hit that masterpiece.
It's excellent, but I think Super Mario Bros. Wonder is a 10 out of 10 game. I think Tears was. I think Breath of the Wild was. I would argue that Mario Odyssey was as well.
It is for me too. I'm an firmly Odyssey over Bonanza guy now that I've sat with Bonanza for a while. They're both awesome, but I think the highs of Odyssey is like magic, like actual just magic.
Mm-hmm.
So
like
yeah.
Goosebumps on my arm while I'm playing a Mario game level, and that just never happened to me yet in Donkey Kong. That being said, I absolutely love Donkey Kong as a character. And I think he deserves this moment to be in the sun. But it's just, Tropical Freeze didn't reach the level of success that you'd ever see a Mario game hit. And it's a great game. I think Tropical Freeze might be one of the best 2D Donkey Kong games. But it was also very hard. And
the thing. It's brutally difficult, and that probably keeps it from that status.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of players, especially younger players, they're going to gravitate to Mario because Mario does a great job of breaking up its difficulty. If you just want to play through the main path, anyone can do that.
Yeah.
The challenge comes from finding the secrets.
And that's Wonder. That's Wonder to a T, right? Because there's that it's like the one where the platforms disappear to the beat. That one level that I spent 100 attempts trying to beat. Like, there's those levels in Super Mario Bros. Wonder that you don't have to beat the game, right? So they're there, and they are a challenge. And Odyssey does that really well too, where there's like things that aren't, and then also the darker side of the moon in Odyssey is like insanely hard. So like there's this scalability to your point, and then they also introduce like the Tanuki feather and stuff. So if you're struggling, here you go, kind of thing. Is not present in Tropical Freeze at all. That game's just hard. But yeah, what a time. Very exciting time. I think we should hit some of this other console news before we go. I called it. I did it again. Because, I'm that crazy person who stays up till 3 a.m. when Japanese companies report so I can read their earnings reports. And what I saw in a conference call, I think it was the first conference call that the new Sony CFO had, where she said they had enough supply of PS5s in America for about 2 quarters of sales. And they got over 80 million units of PS5 sold globally. That they had shipped them to America. They were in the retail channel before the tariffs hit, right? But now the tariffs are here, and PlayStation today, we are filming this. We're going to upload this today too, but we're shooting this on the 20th of August. Sony has announced they are increasing the price of all their PlayStation consoles, which I'm not taking any I take no pleasure in providing this news, but, you know, I'm just happy that my analysis and me listening to the CFO of Sony proved to be the right move here. So the base PlayStation 5 now costs, was it $549.99? That's the one with the disc, right? The disc drive.
So they're each getting bumped by 50? Is that it?
100.
Oh, by 100. Wow.
Yeah, so the
digital one up 100.
All digital PlayStation 5 that used to cost $399, David, is now $499.
Okay.
And the PlayStation 5 Pro, it's only been increased by $50 to $749.99, which is the most expensive console of all time. That's ridiculously high. So now the Switch 2, which came out in 2025, the base one without Mario Kart or without Pokemon, right, without the pack-in, is $449.99, right? Whereas, the PlayStation now costs, the base PlayStation digital costs $50 more than the Switch 2 by itself. So that's pretty crazy and unfortunate. We talked about this on the Switch side, was it last week, with the increase of the Switch 1 prices. This is happening everywhere. It's happening in different geographies, but it's happening here in America because people voted for Donald Trump, and he is implementing tariffs all over the place. The other problem, specifically when it comes to the gaming space, computer hardware space, a lot of these things are made in China, and even if they're not made in China, they're made with machines. Like the machine that builds the machine is made in China. And there are trade policies in effect that even penalize companies for doing that. Like you could buy something from China, take it to another country with lower tariffs, build the thing there, and still be subject to some kind of tariff because of using a Chinese sourced device to even make the device. So we haven't heard this from Microsoft yet, because I don't think Microsoft cares about making money off of the Xbox hardware.
They raised prices.
They did?
They did.
When?
Back in May.
Oh, okay.
The Series X went up. I think they did a full sweep, but the X and S all went up.
I just can't remember. That was so long ago. My head's spinning from how many tariffs we've had. Yeah, you're right, Donovan. You wrote this. May 1st, they increased. Look at me figuring out facts in real time. Take notes, internet. The Series S now costs $379 with 512 gigs of storage. The Series S with 1 terabyte costs $429.99. So that's still less than the Switch 2. The Xbox Series X digital now costs $549.99, which is kind of in line with that PS5 with the disc drive in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Xbox Series X costs $600, $599.99. The 2 terabyte Galaxy Special Edition, I don't know what the hell that means, Donovan. Is that like the different color black?
It's the one that's got like that blue and all of like the stars on it or whatnot. That came out a few years ago, I think, or maybe a couple of years ago.
Apparently, that costs $129 more than the regular one. That's $729.99. They also increased the price of several of their accessories, which we saw Nintendo do with the camera, the controllers, the Joy-Cons, which are like. We're already expensive.
Exactly.
Worth noting now that all the big three have done it in some fashion, PlayStation didn't touch any of their accessory prices. They said in their statement that they weren't adjusting accessory prices. Also, that they were not doing any price changes outside of the United States. Obviously, all that is for now, but yeah.
But they didn't increase the price. What's the thing called? The Wii U gamepad for the PlayStation? What's the thing?
The
called?
Portal. The PS Portal.
That did not get increased in price.
Portal, PSVR, all
so that's cool because like the hard, PlayStation 5 has sold 80 million units. So like the people who wanted a PlayStation, that had the money, that really wanted it, they've gotten it already. So like I don't think this is gonna hurt them as much. at this point, but it is like counterintuitive now that you remember 2020 when the world had shut down and we had chip shortages and you couldn't get a webcam, you couldn't find a webcam at Office Depot, keyboards and mice, everyone was working from home, right? Prices of things were going all out of whack. You couldn't find a PlayStation 5, right? It took months to get back to supply-demand equilibrium for them. You could find an Xbox probably, but like even they had shortages in the fall of 2020. It's very strange to me that now 5 years later, it costs more to buy these things. Like it costs 8 years later from the Switch 1, it costs more to buy a Switch 1 in 2025 than it did in 2017. Like that's weird. This is it's really unfortunate, and like usually late in the cycle you lower the prices, open yourself up to that, like, you know, emerging markets and other places. We're not seeing that as much here, although like you said, Donovan, other geographies aren't affected, but you're not going to see I'm going to just bet this. You're not going to see Sony lower the price of the PlayStation 5 in other geographies, because they just had to do this, right? They just had to raise prices here. And there's a new story that'll come out tomorrow that folks will see that shows you that Sony is this is affecting the whole company. These companies their decision making is being affected by this. Jobs are going to be lost because of this stuff. And this is the whole fell for it again award. You know, congratulations to everyone who voted for this. You voted for this. This is what you voted for.
I want to ask you guys something now that Sony has announced this. Do you think there's a chance now that Nintendo goes back and increase the price of the Switch 2? They increased the price of the Switch 1, and in that statement they were like, we're not touching the Switch 2, but adjustments may be necessary in the future. Now, if they were to go up $50, they'd still be cheaper than a base PS5 and a base Xbox Series X console.
I don't think they touch it. I think that they want to keep selling. Osip's been shaking his head for like 30 seconds, but yeah, no, I don't think they touch it. To answer your question,
no, I don't think that, because if they were gonna do it, they would have done it already, because they just gave us an earnings report where they had 135% sales growth and 4.4% earnings growth. They just showed us what's happening. They're eating it. They're eating it because they know. They've done the market research. $550 is probably the high end of what people are going to be willing to pay for a gaming device. Like, that's probably the high end. So yeah, they gave themselves a little headroom, Donovan, but they already
could go to $499.
But they already priced this thing at $450, Donovan. And it costs $330 in Japan. So like, do the math. That's almost a 30% increase in price. That factors in these tariffs. So like, I think they shot from the hip on April 2nd, and I think they did a good job with how they shot from the hip. I do think that we're not going to get Chinese-made Switch 2s in America. We're getting the ones made in Vietnam, where the tariff is 20%, not 30% right now, and where Donald Trump keeps kicking it down the... I think the real problem here is that China and the United States are not coming to an agreement. It's a 90-day kick the can down the road scenario, which creates uncertainty for all of these companies, because the proposed reciprocal tariff from the glorious leader of the United States, Mr. Tariff himself, is 145%. In that universe, fuck selling these things for $550. We're talking $1,000 to get a Chinese-made Switch in America, right? And they might still lose money on it. So what they're gonna do is sell the Vietnamese-made Switch 2 in America at incredibly low margins, because they want to. They have to increase the user base so that they can get to the point where it makes sense to release these high-budget games, like whatever the hell the next 3D Zelda will be called, or the next 3D Mario, right? Or obviously the next F-Zero. You want a larger addressable market for that game when it comes out. Or whatever else they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason that the Metroid game and Pokemon are straddling generations, because the install base of the Switch 2 is not big enough yet to justify the investment of those two games, right? Like, the amount of money it takes to make that Metroid game, especially given the whole delay and rework and everything that went into Metroid Prime 4, the most amount of people have to be able to buy that game for them to make back what they invested in it. So I
think they also probably want to honor the fact that they announced that game for the Switch. I don't think they want to go back and be like, it's only on the Switch too.
Yeah, but like, it's not a system seller, in my opinion. Like, it's going to sell on a system that has 153 million unit install base. And like, a game like Tomodachi Life, perfect to run on both systems. That's perfectly fine, you know? Like, that's not going to be a resource hog of a game kind of thing, but it is. Like, you saw it when they announced it, Donovan. Like, all your friends were flipping out because we got, like, a new Tomodachi Life game. And, like, that's the thing that Nintendo does really well. But no, I think Nintendo sent us a message very loud and clear that they will do anything else. Everything else could go up in price, but not the Switch 2, not this year. Because they already did increase the price. This thing probably would have shipped at $400 or $399. I don't think Nintendo wanted to put a $500 price tag on that bundle, but they had to. They were forced into doing that because Nintendo learned from the Wii U and the GameCube specifically. They will not sell a console at a loss. They won't do it. But they might sell a console at like a 4% margin or 10% margin, right? And I know that everyone likes to, they're greedy, they're raising prices. No. They're just trying to stay in business because this is a very difficult economic environment that they're in. The concern I have is that it's kind of obvious, right, guys? The economy is in trouble.
I'd say.
How do you think people would respond to a Nintendo price increase? They're already pissed off.
Yeah.
Like, how do you think Americans would respond to a $50 price increase on Switch 2? Like, do you think it's worth the $50 to Nintendo? I don't think so.
I mean, I would make the same argument about PlayStation and Xbox. People
but
are
they
also
already
very upset
sold
about
80
those.
million of them, Donovan. It's like a different, you know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
the hardcore PlayStation fan, they already have the PS5, right? And like, some of those jaboofers bought the PS5 Pro for $700 last year already. They're falling over themselves to pre-order the one with the PS1 or whatever, the PS Celebration, whatever the fuck that was. You know, the one with the X's and the O's and the squares and the triangles.
The anniversary model,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did that cost more? Wasn't that like super expensive? Or was it still
I don't know if
$700?
I don't think that cost more, but it was hard to get because
It was
it came
limited.
out right when the Pro came
Yeah.
out. Yeah, it was a limited thing.
I guess my point is that, like, it's a lot different when Nintendo has sold 6 million Switch 2s versus Sony selling 80 million PS5s. Like, Sony can make back their investment, although not on Concord, but they can make back their investment on some games that they develop with an 80 million unit install base, right? Like, that's a lot. That's a lot of systems out there. If they can hit 1/4 of those people with a God of War or with like a, I don't know, what's that Naughty Dog game with the Porsche and the spaceship?
Intergalactic.
Yeah, that game. Like, they can make back their money with an 80 million unit install base. Now, Microsoft, they won't tell us how many Xboxes they've sold because it's probably embarrassingly bad. Like, but the thing is, like, no, I really don't. I think Nintendo's going to do everything in their power to not raise the price in America on the Switch 2 again. Because in my opinion, they already did. It's just we didn't hear it because they didn't say a word until the very last second that they had to, right? Like, they never told us anything. They just like, remember the first time we saw the Switch 2 this year, it was that weird video where they were highlighting the 2 USB-C ports and the C button, right? Like, it was like, they didn't even have a C on it. It was just the button. But like, yeah, I think they're going to increase the price of the accessories. I think they'll increase the price of NSO. I think they'll increase the price of the, games even. But no, I don't think they're going to go for the system because it's already the most expensive Nintendo system of all time. And it's something I pointed out early on that, like, boy, it would make a lot of sense for them to release a dedicated Switch 1 handheld that costs less than $200. Because, like, there's a market out there that has been priced out of Nintendo. And if I'm right, and the United States economy is falling into a recession, this is not the time to increase prices. This is the worst time ever to increase prices.
I think if they do increase the price of games, it'll happen next year.
Correct.
And I don't think they will. I'm not saying they will, but like, you know, we already know Kirby's going to launch for $69.99, which is kind of their base price point now for their first party stuff. So
they already ripped that Band-Aid off with TOTK, right? Like, Tears of the Kingdom was the first $70 Nintendo game.
Yep.
And and Donkey Kong sold for $70, right? Mario Kart is the first $80 game, but a lot of us bought it for $50. Right. And Pokemon Legends ZA is going to cost $70 at retail, but a lot of the people, maybe, if they have $500, which is a lot of money, like, it's not some... I was talking to my dad about it, actually. $500, when you factor it over the lifespan of a Nintendo product, is still not that bad of a deal, considering what kind of entertainment, how many hours of enjoyment you get out of a Nintendo device. If you factor that over the life of the product, it's still not crazy when you compare it to, like, an iPhone, where you're buying an iPhone every 2 years, every 3 years, right? And those things cost over $1,000 depending on what you get in them. It's like the useful life of a Nintendo device is still longer than many consumer electronics products. And I think there are some benefits of the ecosystem now with the continuity of the eShop, something that we've kind of hammered on this show, that, like, I'm seeing, like, one of my friends who's notoriously cheap and never watches any Shacknews content, so, hey, Adam, you're not watching. But, like, he's, like, one of the cheapest people I know. He is never an early adopter of anything, especially video game products, because he's kind of grown out of it. But he has these two daughters that are kind of like your niece's age, David, like, and they're not as into Splatoon, but they love Animal Crossing. Like, that's their jam. And the young one is now, like, super into Mario Kart, so she loves Mario Kart World. He bought the Switch 2. He bought the camera. He bought Mario Party and the DLC. He bought Donkey Kong, and he got the bundle for Kart World. That being said, he lives in Japan, where the system was way cheaper. But when he was over here in the States, he bought 2 Pro controllers. He was just here for his family gets together in August. And he was here he was up in Michigan for that. So he saw some Pro controllers in stock, so he bought them to take back to Japan, because you can't find accessories in the Japanese stores. I think the other thing going on here that people aren't talking about is that because Nintendo finds them in the crosshairs of this trade war, there is a sense of nationalistic pride in Japan behind supporting Nintendo right now, because they are under attack by the United States administration and all these tariffs. So I think there's, like, something else going on here, where the Switch 2 is selling better than expected in Japan right now. It's the best selling, I think it's the best launch in the history of video game consoles in that territory. So there's something else going on there, where people are buying it. But also, like, people who normally wouldn't be early adopters, I see buying it because of the eShop continuity. And because they saw they got 8 years out of a $300 Switch 1, right? Like, that's not a bad cost benefit, you know? So it's like, yes, it costs more. Everything costs more right now. Everything. Vegetables cost more, guys. Like, but, like, to my earlier point, though, I do worry that if everything costs more and no one's getting paid more, we are all going to have less discretionary income to buy video games, go to movies, take a trip, buy a car, right? It's a self-inflicted recession. It's the dumbest, stupidest thing to have ever happened in the history of this country. And we have damaged our relationship with some of our closest allies. I don't get it. I simply don't get it. And I see a lot of people blame corporations and greed for this stuff. They're not going to run at a loss.
No.
Companies aren't going to run at a loss. But, like, look at the cause before you complain about the effect, would be my advice to anyone who's watching this. Before you're like, oh, it's just greedy Nintendo. Really? Is that what it is? Now, maybe Mario Kart World at $80 is greed. Maybe it is. I don't know. We'll find out over the life of this cycle, right? But what they did on April 2nd, when they announced the price of their system before the tariffs were announced, was a gutsy move by Nintendo. And they haven't backtracked yet, and I'm impressed. If they...
Yeah.
They have every reason to have done it by now. But they are a very analytical company. They look at all the data. They have supply-demand curves that they look at. And they came up with 450. They're like, anything over 450, we start hurting our demand a lot, is probably what they came to the conclusion of. And I'm glad that they're offering these bundles, because they're giving you $20 off of Pokemon. If you want to get in on this ecosystem, here's $20 off of Pokemon. If you wanted to get in early, here's $30 off of Mario Kart World. So everyone who was complaining at launch, I really don't get it. Because you needed the console anyway to play Kart World.
Yeah.
Like everyone on June 5th, none of us had a Switch, too. So if you wanted to play Kart World, it would be stupid not to buy that bundle. Right? And now
I feel like the only way someone would have bought we'll call it the control deck, the Mario Kart World Less bundle or system, was if they couldn't find one.
Yeah.
You know, because I think those pre-orders went first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I was at Meijer a few days ago, David. I saw 2 of them now. There's 2 that are in that
Both
case.
with Mario Kart?
No, just the 450. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they were not the Mario Kart bundles. They were the 450 ones. I don't know. I think the Mario Kart bundle might have sold out. I don't know if I have not seen one of those in the wild ever. But
that's what I'm saying.
And like it was a no-brainer. Is my point. You're saving $30, and that whole argument is moot now. It's like I didn't understand it at the time, and I still don't understand it. But now this holiday, if you want Pokemon Legends ZA, that's a no-brainer bundle. It's like and like, would a greedy company do this? Take $20 out of their pocket on a Pokemon launch? They're trying to build the ecosystem here. So no, I don't think they'll increase the price. But this idea that it's the corporation's fault is the dumbest thing possible. It's the government's fault. Plain and simple. And if you voted for this government, it's your fault. Congratulations, dumbass. Everything costs more. Every fucking thing in the United States costs more because of your dumbass. Congratulations. Fuck around and find out, right?
Yeah.
One more thing before we go, as Steve Jobs used to say before he got hit by a mail. Wasn't it like a milk truck accident? What happened to that guy? Anyway.
No clue.
I have to channel my dude Steve Jobs before I shit on Microsoft. Did you see the Xbox ROG Ally X got announced? It got a release date, David? Did you see? I
saw that. It was certainly there was something conspicuously absent about it too.
The price.
Yep.
We don't know how much it costs. But then
we know the date. We don't know the price.
Best Buy might have leaked the price though, David. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, really? That I don't know.
Donovan, you saw that, right?
I did, yeah. Although I think even they took their thing down. So yeah, I don't know.
We don't know.
It's gonna be expensive.
We don't know. Okay, we don't know. We have no confirmation. But all I know is announcing your release date without the price seems weird. And I know Asus. those products are made in China. So I understand the uncertainty on the part of Microsoft and Asus in announcing the price, because every 90 days, President Trump kicks the can down the road with, the head of China and the Chinese delegation.
They did give a statement at Gamescom, Taijin, where they just said they need more time to figure out macroeconomic impact to pricing. Was their statement there.
This thing's going to cost a lot. The rumor.
Yeah.
This is a rumor, folks. I want to make it abundantly clear. Rumor. $900.
Jeez. That would put it over the PS5 Pro.
Yes. And it would cost more than every Xbox that exists.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could buy 2 Switch 2s for the price of
do we
one.
Do we know the specs on it yet?
Did they give us specs?
Have they released those?
I think they have. I don't know what they are, but I think they did.
Let me.
I know that I know that the Ally X is supposed to be a bit beefier than just the Ally, the 2 SKUs.
So it's gonna have a top of the stack AMD Ryzen AI Z2 Extreme with a powerful NPU. It's gonna use some of the, like, you know how AMD has like a similar thing as DLSS? I think they're gonna use some of the same tech there. I said they have advanced shader delivery, enhancements to the docking experience that they're going to announce in coming months. Compatible accessories. Not a whole lot when it comes to storage, processing speed, battery life. Specs that people would want when making a purchasing decision, David. None of that. I have a take here. You guys want to hear my take?
Fire away.
So Indiana Jones and the Great Circle got announced for Switch 2 at the opening night live with Jeff Keighley. And there's a rumor going around that Starfield is coming to Switch 2. And we talked a lot about how there's not enough Switch 2 dev kits out there. It's a little cheeky here, okay? I'm joking. I think this Xbox ROG Ally X is just the dev kit for their Switch 2 stuff.
Just tested out how stuff works on handhelds.
It's like Nintendo hates them so much that they're like, "Go build your own dev kit, you dicks." Because if you optimize it for this, admittedly completely different processor family, but if you optimize it for a handheld, you can get it to run on another handheld probably.
Mm-hmm.
But also,
people have drawn similar lines with the Steam Deck.
But also, Steam Deck is mighty fine. Go get yourself a Steam Deck, folks. If you really want that PC experience in your hand, and Game Pass is not really a concern for you, go get a Steam Deck. I would just based on the rumored price of this thing, go get a Steam Deck. Go get a Switch 2, but don't wait around for this thing. The people that are excited about this, I'm like, okay. It's an interesting overlap I noticed today on social media, Donovan, between the people who were cheering for Microsoft versus the Fair Trade Commission and the people who are excited about this thing. It's a weird overlap. I don't know what that could be. Anyway, congratulations, Microsoft. You made a dev kit. I can't wait to play Halo Master Chief Collection on my Switch 2. That's what I'm looking forward to.
That'll happen eventually.
The crash out on the internet the day that gets announced, Donovan. Oh man, if I could bottle that and turn it into some kind of juice that I could drink, it could sustain me for years. Just Xbox fanboy tears. If I could bottle that, it would be delightful. But anyway, I know. I'm not trying to be mean here. And I don't want companies to fail. But companies who actually care about their hardware make their hardware. They don't outsource it to another company.
Yeah.
Because now Asus is the one that has taken some of the profit and loss risk here, not Microsoft. Kind of like the Steam machines back in the day.
I was going to compare it to that.
Or the HTC Vive, right? That was all Valve tech, right? The Lightroom tech, all of that stuff was Valve technology. The controllers were based on Valve technology. But Valve just licensed the tech. And HTC Vive took the profit and loss risk, and they lost money. Valve didn't lose money. Valve made money off of the Vive. And it's possible that Microsoft could make money off of this by licensing the Xbox brand to this product. You're also seeing it with the Xbox branded Meta Quest, Donovan. Those are still sitting on shelves. Plenty of them available right now. So, you know, this is just me saying to Microsoft, like, if you actually cared about this space at all, you'd make your own. And they're not. They made their own Surface tablet, right? Like, they cared about that space. They made their own product. Admittedly, years after Steve Jobs reinvented that whole space.
I feel the same way. Like, this ROG Ally feels like a ROG Ally, not an Xbox portable.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is like good or bad. It just doesn't feel like Xbox to me. To your point, if Microsoft cared, they'd make it in-house.
And what I've said before, if everything's an Xbox, nothing's an Xbox.
That was part of this whole story, like many months ago, was that before they announced any of this, was that the report was that internally they were making a first-party in-house Microsoft like Xbox handheld device that would be like a companion to the Xbox, and that they were also partnering it with ROG for like a handheld PC that's got like the Xbox Game Pass stuff built into it. And then we got like, it might have been a Jason Schreier report that they had like postponed their own first-party Xbox handheld and we're just moving forward with the ROG thing for now. And then that got announced at Summer Game Fest. So David, to your point, it seems like that was a thing that was supposed to happen that's maybe not happening anymore, or maybe next generation or something. But yeah, there was an idea. There was an idea to do that.
Yeah, okay. And it's typical Microsoft though, man. They're copying off of the hot shit's paper. Like, how often does Microsoft reinvent the wheel? Very rarely. They were like, oh, look what Steve Jobs made. This thing called iPod. Let's make a Zune. How'd that turn out? They're like, oh, look, Sega Dreamcast. Let's partner with Sega and steal all their IP, everything they did right with Dreamcast. Let's steal that and then make the Xbox. Like,
you didn't like Windows CE, Asif?
No, fuck that one in particular. Although Millennium Edition might be the worst one.
Yeah, I think so.
But like, I also hate Windows 11. But like, and yes, card-carrying Apple fan, but I'm talking to you on a Windows PC right now. So like, I have no religion here. I'm just observing something. Sony made the Portal. Nintendo makes their devices. Like, they take the P&L risk. I don't know what the economy of any of these Microsoft's product, like these products that Microsoft makes, I couldn't tell you the margin on any Microsoft hardware because they're not transparent. How on earth is a company valued at almost $4 trillion, incapable of providing the data that little old Nintendo has no problem providing, that Sony has no problem providing? Why is it that one of the largest companies on earth is the least transparent? And why doesn't anyone in our space ever ask that question?
Enthusiast press. That's the difference between games journalism and enthusiast press, right?
I'm clearly an enthusiast too, though. But I'm aware. I'm not afraid ever to call something shit when it's shit. And like, if Nintendo was the one not being honest, I'd call them out on it too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like one of the largest companies on earth can't tell us how many Xboxes they've sold this generation. They don't know. They know. We saw that press release today from Tony Hawk. 10 million hours played. Hours played?
I was just going to get into that. Asif, you've played Diablo 2, right? Like, you love that game.
Fuck yeah.
Okay, so, you get into, like, hundreds of damage, thousands of damage. That's the number that's easy to understand. And then Diablo 3, it's like, oh, you just did 3 trillion damage. That number doesn't make any sense. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way about Microsoft stats. Like, oh, 10 million hours played, 10 billion, unique users on Game Pass or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Those numbers don't mean anything to me. They're too hard to quantify.
No, tell me the real simple question, Microsoft. Did you make money?
Yeah.
What are your profits in the hardware division? They tell us their revenue. They tell us the revenue. They tell us revenue growth. But they don't tell us the split. They don't tell us their margins. This company that is like one of the leading AI companies in the world somehow can't analyze a division of their company? Where did you come up with the $70 billion to buy Activision Blizzard? Why did you pay that much? Like, what was the valuation? Why did you buy it for that? Like, well, why? And then why are you firing all the people who make their awesome games? Like, we have to hold this company accountable because they're actively hurting the video game industry. And Game Pass is deflationary. Like, it's a fact. They won't even tell us how many people bought Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4 because that number, I guarantee, is less than the 10 million hours played.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, they want big number, impress fanboy. Fanboy makes YouTube video, points at it, pogger face. Like, things are so fucking stupid right now. Like, as someone who analyzes companies in this space, I am shocked at our industry's inability to hold Microsoft accountable. And I'm looking at you, IGN. You get to talk to Phil Spencer at least multiple times a year. Next time, ask him how many fucking Xboxes have been sold this console generation. And if he doesn't answer you, ask him why he can't answer you. It's ridiculous. Until our industry does that, I don't blame anyone for not taking us seriously. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, it's been a while since I got on a soapbox to shit all over Microsoft. But, like, this was a half-ass release of news. You give us the release date without the price? What is that? And look, Nintendo did the same thing during the Direct. And I went straight up to PR and I said, what's the price of this thing? And then, like, I don't know, Donovan, you were covering the news that day. Your inbox got hit with the press release about the price right after the Direct. I don't think they knew the price when they made the Direct. I don't think Nintendo knew the price. But at least they gave us that information the same day. But I admit, they rolled out the price terribly on April 2nd. And, like, the economy of what games were priced at was all very confused. And you saw that huge misinformation bubble.
I was going to say the issue with doing that, it happened to Nintendo and Microsoft, is that you open the door for people to speculate, like we did when the Switch 2 got announced. People were guessing $690 games and stuff, and now we're seeing with Xbox. People are doing it with the ROG. People were like, I think this is $1,100, or people looking at listings on Walmart Canada and whatnot. And it's going to be expensive, but they could probably save themselves a lot of trouble if they just paired those announcements together. And Nintendo could have saved themselves trouble as well if they had found a way to just tell people during their Direct that Mario Kart was going to be $80.
Yeah,
the Switch was
if you go back and you watch my preview from that day, Donovan, I mention it. I'm like, they did a terrible job of communicating the price. And I think it was a function of them not knowing when they, like, they have to produce those videos ahead of time. This is a blog post that Microsoft dropped here. They could have just not posted this. If they don't know, don't post this, because this is not, like, David, like, you asked me a question about specs. They're not here. All we have is a release date that does nothing. Like, why tell us the release date if we don't know the price, or if we can't pre-order it? What's the point of this? I don't get it. I really don't get it. Now you're going to get a ton of people who have hands-on with this at Gamescom. Right? And maybe it's a fine device to hold. Maybe it does some cool things software-wise. I don't know.
I think that's probably why they did it, to time out for day one of Gamescom, because it'll be the public's first time playing it, and they want people to be like, "Oh, this was fun. You can buy one mid-October."
But
I think
like,
that's all
what
that's
are the
about.
things gamers really want to hear, though, Donovan? How much does this cost, and what is in it? Why is this worth what it is priced at? You know, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier: a lack of transparency and honesty from one of the largest companies on earth. And I'm tired of people carrying water for this. It's ridiculous. And I would feel the same way about any company that did this. It has nothing to do with Microsoft specifically. It's just that it's undeniable. It's one of the largest companies on earth with a track record of stealing other companies' ideas. I can't remember the last time they did anything original at Microsoft. Kinect, probably. Which was honestly just a response to the Wii, if we're being honest. A different take and everything, but like Kinect was cool. But yeah, bizarre. Anyway, can't wait to see that thing kill the Switch 2. But yeah, it's wow, 2 episodes in 1 week, guys.
I know,
Unprecedented level of doing it for Shacknews here. Yeah. It's been a while since I ranted about Microsoft on a podcast. Feels good, man. Feels good. And yeah, I think this is on topic for our fans. I think they would care to hear that. So yeah, before we go, Donovan, did we miss anything with Air Riders? Did we hit everything? Do you like it?
No.
Are you excited to play it?
We had everything with Air Riders. I'm more excited for it now than I was when it got announced. I thought it was a really good time. It remains to be seen what the replayability factor is like on it. I think the city trial was fun in the environment I played in. It'll be fun the first several times I play it with like friends and staff members. I'm sure will stream it. I don't know, just the way it's structured. I don't know if it'll still be fun 3 months after it comes out. We'll see. I'm curious to see what DLC looks like or what the full suite of content looks like. It feels like they're holding something back. I saw people call out the big empty square on the home screen when you're selecting game modes and whatnot. And also with that tease at the end of the trailer, there could be one more shoe to drop with this game, but it looks fun. I mean, I'm excited to check it out.
How
cool things here?
How's it from a single player perspective? Did you get to experience that at all, or was it all multiplayer?
The only single player stuff I did was race against CPUs.
Okay,
I did a couple of just standard race where I just raced against I forget the number, but just a bunch of CPU characters.
and the demo that he showed at City Trial, he was playing by himself. Like you're going to be able to experience those games with against the CPU. Which, David, we talked about that in a lot of like online games. Not having bots is lame. So like you said, Donovan, having that slider 1 to 10 on Kirby Air Riders, I think is going to be important. I agree with your point though that like the how long it stays in the discussion, I'm curious about. Knowing our staff, we're going to be playing Mario Kart World much longer than this game, in my opinion. But
probably, I mean, it's Mario Kart. Nothing will ever take that crown.
It's also just, we have a decade-long rivalry going between a lot of these players now on staff, and you can't, that's not something, like, we weren't playing Air Ride against each other 22 years ago, David. Like, we didn't even know each other. But I am looking forward to this. As a Kirby stan, I'm just happy to see Kirby in a launch year. I think that's exciting. And I thought the music's excellent, right?
Very, very good music, and also very interestingly, they put it on Nintendo Music yesterday. It's the first Switch 2 game to get its soundtrack on Nintendo Music, and the game's not even out yet.
You hear that, Doug Bowser? You can do this. You can put game soundtracks that are out now on Switch 2 on your app. And then, like, the Mario Kart World soundtrack is so good, put it on Switch. What are you doing?
It is so good.
Like, put that on the thing. It's their, like, Nintendo has one good app out of all the bullshit they've ever done. Nintendo Music is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, for the love of God, put the Mario Kart World OST on this thing. Like,
they're like, it's kind of too good though. So don't
it's like, no. They're like, you know what? Well, you know, Donkey Kong, this Bonanza soundtrack's outstanding. You know what we shouldn't do? Put this on our music app.
Yeah.
Anyway, that'll do it. If you enjoyed these 2 podcasts this week, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to us. We'll be back next week to talk about something that's been announced between now and that next episode. Maybe I'll make some progress in Donkey Kong. I can tell you that I haven't actually progressed from that bridge I was at on the last episode, Donovan. I have destroyed several mounds of rock and ice and snow.
Amazing.
I've went from 200,000 coins or gold to around 235, and I also built several of those huts or whatever. And there was like a tree. You know how you can pay the bribery to the tree to get some bananas. I did that.
Yeah, those things take a hefty amount of coins.
It was like, I think they asked for like 5 or 10,000 coins. So I dropped the coin, or I dropped the gold, and maybe it was
That's
5,
a drop in the bucket for you, though, Austin. You have
I know.
much...
As I was saying it, I was like, in my playthrough, they were like taking me for all I was worth. And I'm like, you probably didn't even like see the like numbers move.
Didn't even blink.
When you did them.
I was like, here you go. I'd like the bananas, please. And then I want to make like a vertical video out of it, Donovan, where I use like Kendrick Lamar's Money Tree in the background or something.
That's good.
So I have a couple of my clips on the Switch too, so maybe I'll be able to turn around some vertical video content for the folks at home. But yeah, if you haven't, check out Donovan's gameplay. He got some over-the-shoulder gameplay at the Switch 2 event with the sound kind of there, and you also hear Donovan reacting to stuff at times. I do think the game is just like fast. That was the one thing I noticed. Was like, it's fast.
Very.
And that's
everything.
Cool. And there's other fast racing games that they could make someday. Anyway. High octane thrill ride of an episode here, guys. Thanks for joining me twice this week.
I'd say.
And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.